Okay, so picture this. A classroom in rural Malawi, packed with 150 students. Just one dedicated teacher and tablets. Solar power. Personalized literacy lessons, delivered through offline software, and all for just $7 a year per student.
That's amazing.
You might be thinking, hold on, is this some futuristic utopia? Well, it's closer than you think, and it's a real example of how technology is transforming ESL education, even in some of the most unexpected places.
Absolutely.
You wanted the inside scoop on how tech is changing the ESL game. So we dove deep into a fascinating conversation between some ESL pros,
Oh, cool.
Mike and Stuart,
Yeah, those guys.
from Mike's Home ESL and TEFL Lemon, and they had on blended learning expert Michael B. Horn.
It's a really insightful live stream. You get the perspective of some really experienced ESL instructors and a leading voice in educational technology.
Exactly. We've got a transcript from Mike's Home ESL YouTube channel and some additional notes on Michael Horn's most thought-provoking points. We're going to unpack the power of blended learning practical strategies for teachers who are facing resource limitations and the exciting, sometimes intimidating world of AI in education.
Sounds good.
Now, Michael B. Horn shared this incredible story that completely shifted his perspective on what education could be. He visited a classroom where students were basically running the show.
Really?
They were setting their own learning goals, demonstrating mastery, even teaching each other.
Wow.
The teacher was more of a facilitator, guiding and supporting the process.
That's incredible. This anecdote really highlights the core of blended learning. It's not about technology replacing teachers. It's about technology empowering teachers to unlock student potential and create a more dynamic learning environment.
Exactly. So before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What exactly is blended learning, and how does it shake up the traditional classroom structure?
Essentially, blended learning combines online and offline learning experiences. It's not just tacking on a few online quizzes or videos. It's about designing these personalized learning pathways for each student.
Oh, okay.
That means students learn at their own pace and in a way that suits their individual needs and their individual learning styles.
So it's a pretty radical departure from the traditional one-size-fits-all approach where everyone moves at the same speed regardless of whether they're grasping the material or not.
Right, and this idea of personalized learning pathways is key. It gives students agency. They take ownership of their learning journey, which leads to a much deeper understanding.
And when students feel like they're in the driver's seat, their motivation goes up too, right?
Absolutely. They're not just passively absorbing information, they're actively engaged and invested in their own education.
This sounds amazing in theory, but I know some of you listening might be thinking, sure, this is great for schools with the latest gadgets and endless resources, but what about those of us working with limited budgets and outdated tech? That's where Michael Horn's insights become incredibly valuable.
For sure.
He and the ESL guys, Mike and Stuart, really dug into strategies for teachers facing those resource limitations.
I like it.
One of the ideas that jumped out at me was the flipped classroom model.
Oh, yeah. Michael Horn actually called the flipped classroom a gateway drug to blended learning.
A gateway drug. Tell me more.
It's a good analogy because it's a relatively easy way to dip your toes into blended learning. It helps teachers gain confidence and naturally leads to more personalized approaches. Basically, you're inverting the traditional classroom model. Instead of lecturing during class time, teachers record videos or curate online resources for students to review at home.
Okay.
Then class time becomes this dynamic space for interactive activities, discussions, projects, or problem solving.
So homework becomes pre-class work, and class becomes more about applying knowledge and collaborating. I can see how this could be a game changer, even for teachers with just one computer or a handful of tablets.
Exactly. You don't need a high-tech classroom to make it work.
And it's a great way to ease into the blended learning approach, right? It's not about throwing out everything you've done before, but rather building on it.
Precisely. It's about evolution, not revolution. And remember, this is just one strategy. Michael Horn also highlighted the station rotation model, which is incredibly practical for classrooms with limited devices.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
Let's say you have one tablet for every 3 or 4 students.
Okay.
You could divide the class into groups, and each group rotates through different stations. One station might have the tablets with personalized ESL software. Another might be for small group instruction with the teacher, and another could involve an offline project.
So I'm picturing a really dynamic learning environment where students are engaged at every station, whether they're using technology or not.
Yeah, and this model brings us back to that classroom in Malawi. They're using a similar approach to deliver literacy and math lessons with incredible results for less than $7 per student per year.
That's astounding. It really challenges the assumption that you need a lot of fancy technology to make a difference.
Absolutely. In fact, sometimes limitations can actually spark creativity and lead to unexpectedly brilliant solutions.
So we've talked about blended learning and how it can work even in resource-limited settings. But there's another big piece of the puzzle we need to address: artificial intelligence.
That's the elephant in the room, or maybe the AI chatbot in the chat.
Right. It's understandable that many teachers are feeling anxious about AI. Will it take their jobs? Make their classrooms even more chaotic?
Michael Horn offers a really interesting perspective on this. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that teachers who use technology well will replace teachers who don't. And that includes AI.
So it's not about being replaced by AI, but about learning to use it as a tool to enhance teaching.
Exactly. AI can be a powerful ally for teachers.
Well, that's a great segue into part 2 of our deep dive. We'll be exploring how AI can be used to personalize learning, provide feedback, and even help teachers analyze student work. Stay tuned.